Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Richard's Podcast Land. And today we'll be having John Morris that's going to be our guest for this interview. But before we get started, how are you doing today so far?
Doing great. It's Friday and it's almost the weekend.
Yep, you know how time flies. It's such an
Yeah, how are
art.
you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm so happy to have you here in my podcast series. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
You're very much welcome. I have a lot of questions to ask to you about your career and some stuff. Now, further than ado, let's get started, shall we? So, here's my first question. Can you tell me like your whole experience of how you got the voice for Andy from Toy Story? Since where did this all started?
Yes, so I started taking an acting workshop when I was 6 years old, called Kids on Camera in San Francisco. And then there was an open call for Andy, and I think about 100 kids auditioned. They said, bring your favorite toy to the audition. And I brought all my X-Men figures. And my mom said, oh, that's too many toys. You have to pick one. And I said, no, no, I'm going to bring them all. And I brought them all to the audition. I started, playing with them in the audition and voicing Storm and Wolverine and Professor X. And they later said that that's what, that's how Andy plays. And that's really how they envisioned Andy, launching into play and creating voices and using his imagination with his toys. And so, and then there were callbacks and we read from the script and such. But that was what did it.
Well, that's really great to hear. Like, speaking of X-Men, which one is your most favorite character growing up? Like, before you got the
Mhm.
role as Andy, do you have like which one of your favorite X-Men toys that you bring at the studio after Pixar Animation Studios called you to do the voice for him?
So if I had to pick one, it's hard to pick, but I guess I'd say Storm because I'm just so impressed with her powers and that she can control the elements. And there have been a lot of times that she's really saved the X-Men, using her power of weather and the elements. So I guess I'd have to pick Storm.
Well, that's really great to hear. I mean, my favorite is Wolverine, but Storm is
Yeah,
really awesome.
Wolverine's awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say, when you got the role as Andy for Toy Story, did you ever like stay in touch with any of the other cast members recording the voices, like Tom Hanks, Tim
Hmm.
Allen, Annie Potts, or someone?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to, we all recorded separately, but then at the premieres, I got to talk with them and we always took a cast photo, which was really nice. And I actually just did an event last weekend, Rocketown Comic Con with John Ratzenberger, who voices Ham and many other characters in Disney Pixar movies. And so that was nice to see him and catch up.
Well, that's really great to hear. I mean, all the cast members that you stay in touch with were very awesome. Like, they're literally true legends because I do remember like growing up watching Toy Story back in preschool. And one of my teachers who had the VHS told me that she did got a chance to meet Tom Hanks. And I was like so jealous. I mean, one of my teachers at preschool did told me that she did met him. I think what was it in the red carpet premiere? I don't know which movie,
Hmm.
but it was a long time, and I was so jealous she got to meet a famous celebrity. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Tom Hanks is he's a really nice, down-to-earth person. So I know he's very famous and an A-list actor, and also he's a really nice person. So I can attest to that as well.
Yep. Such an awesome actor and a guy
Hmm.
himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Say, speaking of Pixar, which one is your most favorite Pixar film that you enjoyed watching besides Toy Story, like Cars,
Hmm.
Wally, Ratatouille, or The Incredibles, or anything?
Yes, I mean, I, like everyone else, am a huge Pixar fan. So It's hard to pick just one, but I would say some of my favorites include Finding Nemo, because I love the ocean and I grew up by the ocean and the water, and that's just such a beautiful film. And then also Wall-E, because I think it makes a really interesting statement about the future and climate change and screen time, and I think that was a really interesting perspective. Um, and then I could just go on and on. I mean, there's so many others I like, but I would say, those two kind of stand out to me.
Yeah, I mean, Finding Nemo, I almost cried during the whole movie because his father trying to find Nemo was very emotional because Marlin really wanted to support Nemo because, ever since Nemo's mother died, Marlin wanted to stay in
Yeah.
charge to look after him.
You're right. It really does show that close bond between them, and it's very meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next question. How is it like being part of Tim Burton's all time classic film, The Nightmare Before Christmas?
It was really, really fun to work on that. That recorded in San Francisco, and there were a bunch of like kids that we were cast. So we did a lot of the, like screaming and and scenes and such, especially when Jack Skeleton is in Christmastown. And then I got to voice Santa Boy, who his parents ask him, "What did Santa bring you for Christmas?" And he holds the head up. And so it was really, really fun and just a very creative environment. And I remember seeing, the little kind of claymation figures and it just being very unique. And I've talked to some fans about that film who love that film, and it's really the only animated film that's kind of 50% Halloween, 50% Christmas. So you can watch it from October to through December or any time of the year, but it's unique that way. And it definitely has a following. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never got to like watch the whole movie, but I do remember there's a lot of merchandise like back in my
Hmm.
other stores like Walmart, Walgreens, and a lot of stores they added because The Nightmare Before Christmas was very popular, which they're actually lucky to be in it, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting because it came out in 1993 and then Toy Story came out in 1995. So it was sort of around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Have you ever got a chance to watch Toy Story spin-off film Lightyear, which was released in 2022? If so, what are your thoughts on it?
I did watch the film and I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I like films that are set in space. And I really liked his cat Socks, and um yeah, I mean I know that there were kind of some different opinions on it and such, and a little bit of confusion around who voiced Buzz Lightyear and such, but I really enjoyed it personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Chris Evans, he did really well doing a Tim Allen impression for Buzz Lightyear. I mean,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
I mean, we can't always get the roles that we wanted because it's always a good chance to let the actors do this for the other actor that voiced Buzz himself. Like, there's always a good chance they'll do very marvelous for him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it made sense to me that there's one voice for the real Buzz Lightyear and then there's another voice for the toy version. I mean, that that made sense to me, but I understand, that there were different opinions on that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. How is it like doing the singing voice for Otto Rocket from Nicktoons game, Nicktoons?
That was really, really fun. And it's interesting you bring up that project because sometimes fans talk to me also about Lego Island, which is this game from the 1990s. I voiced Pepper, the pizza delivery dude. And so that project that you mentioned, and then Lego Island, um, are really kind of these unique uh projects because I'm sort of known more for Andy and Toy Story and The Nightmare Before Christmas, but those were really fun as well. And Lego Island specifically, I have a lot of memories because I got to do a lot of ad libs. They asked for kind of like a California skater surfer dude. And so I got to do a lot of different ad libs on that, which was really fun and creative for me as an actor.
That's very awesome. Say, speaking of Lego Island, how did you react when June Foray, which is another Disney legend, got to voice in the game with you? Well, which I'm not sure, but I heard you and her both stared together in that game. She is such an awesome voice actress.
She is an awesome voice actress, and I used to play that game, and it is such a fun game. And I still talk with people about, who play the game or they played the game. And um, yeah, it was a blast to work on and a blast to play.
Yeah. I mean, ever since I was a Lego fan, a lot of people in my school used to play with Legos, but all of a sudden when they try to run around in the school playground, one of them accidentally stepped on a Lego and they actually sank screaming, which I got shocked later and the teacher had to come in and ask us, "Hey, we're not allowed to play Legos anymore because it will get all students hurt." Well,
Yeah, it's true. You do have to be careful if you step on a Lego. It's very painful.
yeah, which thank God I'm not a part of that situation because some of my students, I mean, sorry, my classmates, they're always crazy, because preschool kids, sometimes they are always playful, but always have to be careful what they're doing for themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. How was it like meeting Mary Gibbs, who was known for voicing Boo from Monsters Inc.?
It has been so great. I've done a few events where Mary's been there as well, and it's been really nice to spend time with her. We also did a panel um, at House of Mouse in Orlando, that event. And the fun thing about that was she was asked Toy Story trivia questions, and then I was asked Monsters Inc. trivia questions. So that was kind of a fun switch, and I know the audience enjoyed that. And yeah, she's really great and obviously is fantastic as Boo. And it's nice because we both, voiced human characters in Pixar, Disney Pixar movies. And so it's nice to have that common ground with her.
Yep, she's such an awesome voice actor. I mean, speaking of Boo, she also voiced Kiara from The Lion King Simba's Pride, and which she voiced Baby Riley from Inside Out, which was like, I think it was like the left out audio things that Pixar Animation Studios used for the future.
Oh,
I think,
cool. I didn't realize that.
yep, Inside Out 2 is coming out. I'm so looking forward to watch it. Are you?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yep. Such an awesome animation studios. I mean, Pixar, I do remember like when I was a kid, honestly, I do remember that I have the game called Finding Nemo and Toy Story, which I play the games a lot every time I come back from school. But ever since it says game over and the character gets defeated, I usually get scared easily and hide under the bed crying because, sometimes video games for kids can usually be scary because due to the
Yeah.
developers and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a spectrum there of, how intense video games are. And then, as you get older, you can kind of play more of them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Hmm.
Okay. Last question. What are your dream roles that you will want to voice in the future? It will be Marvel, Star
Hmm.
Wars, Looney
Wow.
Tunes, or something.
Yeah, so I'm an X-Men fan, so that would be amazing. And then I'm also a Star Wars fan, so that would be really interesting as well to voice, a Jedi. Um, that would be pretty amazing. And Toy Story 5 is coming out in June of 2026. And I know None of us know what the story is about yet or anything. But my hope is that, Andy makes a return, and I of course would love to return, to voice him. Absolutely. And I've also just been cast in a project that I'm excited about. I can't say too much about it, but yet, but it's set in the future, kind of a post-apocalyptic um, setting, and I'm really excited to start recording that.
Well, those are some great choices to hear. Hopefully, you can
Yeah.
get to voice them in the future. If God notice, He knows who to choose. But we'll see in the
Thank you,
future.
Richard. I appreciate that.
You're very much welcome. All right, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much, John, for joining here in my podcast series. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you. It's been fun.
You're very much welcome. And remember, stay awesome, stay positive, and stay happy for all of your fans and co stars. All right. Take care, John.
Oh, great message. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.